When SpaceX was founded in 2002, no one expected that the company would become this big. If anyone had said that just under 2 decades after being created, the Russian government would be copying SpaceX, they probably would have been laughed at. However, it looks like that's precisely what's happening. Today on Super Freaky Science, we'll be talking about the possibility of Russia getting plans from SpaceX, copying them and building their own reusable rockets. Do you think that's been a little bit possible? Well, it may be. Let's find out. When SpaceX first started experimenting with reusable rockets, most people thought a private corporation couldn't have the capital needed to invest in rocket technology. But when SpaceX started running successful tests and began seeing results, everyone else's opinion changed faster than you can say Elon Musk. Before long, SpaceX became an industry leader in rocket technology, and after a short while, the company built its first reusable rocket. By the time SpaceX built reusable rockets, even Russia hadn't built one, and they've had a space program since the 50s. With the rockets, SpaceX cements its place in the industry. Around 2015, the company became the first to launch a rocket into space and land it safely on Earth. Today, every other space company is trying to play catch-up. But now, that may all change. Is Russia copying SpaceX? A few months ago, it was announced on Twitter that the Russians are now working towards developing reusable rockets to run by the year 2026. The Roscosmos State Corporation, as well as the Progress rocket and the Space Center, seem to have signed an agreement that will see the development of a futuristic space complex and a new Amur launch vehicle. According to the agreement, the rocket will be Russia's very first reusable methane rocket. The project will go by the name of Amur, and Russia expects the development of the rocket will cost around $900 million. That's a lot of money, but it's just around the same amount SpaceX spent on developing the Falcon 9. During the Falcon 9 project, SpaceX invested about $500 million, while NASA provided seed money of near $400 million. This rocket is expected to replace the existing Soyuz 2, which is Russia's present launch vehicle and is a modernized version of the original Soyuz rocket. The Soyuz rocket had earned Russia a lot of money ferrying astronauts to space, and NASA even pays about $80 million per seat in the Soyuz. The Amur will be operating at a much lower per launch cost than the Soyuz, partly because it's reusable. That's the entire idea behind developing the Amur rocket in the first place. It's simply a mechanism to save Russia some money in the long run. The rocket will be powered by 5 RD-169 rocket engines that will burn methane. You'd know that the Amur rocket looks a tad bit identical to the SpaceX rocket. It's impossible to claim that there aren't some similarities between the structure of the Falcon 9. The similarities aren't just in terms of technology. The proposed Amur rocket is physically identical to the Falcon 9. The resemblance starts at the top, with a wider fairing than the core of the rocket. Both rockets are designed with a set of grid fins at the top of the first stage and landing legs at the base. For one, the Amur was designed with a reusable first stage and a dispensable second stage, which is basically how the Falcon 9 works. The rocket engine is also expected to be reused about 100 times. What does Elon Musk think? Well, Elon Musk thinks that this is a good thing. He says that it's a step in the right direction, but said that they should aim for full reusability by 2026, which is just a cheeky way of saying that they should have gone further by 2026, because SpaceX would have gone further. Now, before we continue, I've got an interesting wager for you. I'm going to tell you a super freaky science fact, and if it blows your mind away, you're going to like and subscribe to the channel. No questions asked. Deal? Deal. 20% of Earth's oxygen is produced by the Amazon rainforest. Crazy, right? What this means for SpaceX and Russia. Elon Musk may seem happy that Russia is developing a reusable rocket, but the road here was bumpy for Russia. The reason why the country is building the Amur in the first place is simple. They've seen that SpaceX can become a viable alternative for NASA, and they don't want to lose that. If SpaceX starts ferrying astronauts to space, Roscosmos stands to lose about $200 million in yearly revenue. I know what you're thinking. You're probably asking yourself why NASA would even consider Russia if SpaceX could do the same job at the same price. And that's a reasonable question. Right now, SpaceX plans on pricing a seat on its rocket at $60 million, which is $20 million less than what Russia presently offers. However, Roscosmos has said that it will be looking to cut its prices by 30%. If Russia does that, money considerations will make NASA continue to pay the Russians to ferry at least some of its astronauts. However, many analysts, including us, have said it's almost impossible for Russia to deliver on the promise it's making. The only reason SpaceX can make such cheap rockets and fly them at such margins is that the company manufactures most of its parts in-house. That's certainly not so for Roscosmos, and to do that, the agency would have to change its whole production chain. So yeah, you would probably be correct to say that Russia is running a fool's errand by trying to build the Amur. But when has that ever stopped our Russian friends? Never. That's it for today, guys. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons. Goodbye, remember to study science, and we'll tell you all about the freaky parts.